welcome back to the third episode of Cornish Youth News. Today we are at Richard Landers School.
The theme of this episode is crime and safety.
Today we'll be covering 3 different topics. Those topics are vaping, CCTV, and what to do without your mobile phone in an emergency.
Firstly, we'll be talking about feeling safe and how to spot if you're not feeling safe.
If you're getting early warning signs, ask yourself,
do I have a choice about what's happening?
Am I in control of the situation?
Is there a time limit? Will it be over soon?
Can I get help if needed?
If the answer to any of these questions is no, the situation you're in might not be safe. So stop. We don't always think about what feeling safe feels like. We often take it for granted. It can help to think about what our favourite safe place is, real or imaginary, and how it makes us feel when we are there. We're going to talk about vaping now. It is important to remember that the latest national data says that only 9% of students were classified as current vapers.
So my name's Elizabeth. I work for the Trading Standards Department at Cornwall Council.
you're here to talk about vaping on. Please, can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, certainly. So a lot of the work that I do now is around vaping. Trading Standards deal with 2 different aspects, really. One is the supply of illegal vapes, and there's a lot of illegal vapes out there on the market, but also the supply of vapes to children. So it's an age-restricted product. Legally, it can only be sold to persons over the age of 18 years old, and there are many reasons for that. Vapes contain nicotine. Nicotine is really addictive, and it's really important that people with that are under the age of 18, whose bodies haven't fully developed yet, don't try nicotine products.
How do you think some children would get a hold of a vape?
Well, that's part of the issue. I don't know how they get hold of the vape. So we've launched a new scheme. Now, this came off of the back of the annual conversation that the council holds with the youth of Cornwall. And one of the conversations they wanted to hold was around tobacco and vaping. They hate the fact that it happens in the toilets at school. They hate the fact that their friends do it because they're really worried about them. But for Trading Standards to do something about this, we need to know where people are getting their vapes from. So we've launched a scheme which we call vapeanon.com. So this is the poster for the scheme. So we're hoping to put these up in the toilets of the schools around Cornwall. If they click through, it will simply ask them what school they go to, and then there's a free text box so people can tell us.
What would you do if you caught somebody handing a vape to a child?
Okay, so it would depend upon the circumstances. If it was a retailer in a shop, then we would have powers to investigate and prosecute. If it was somebody that had been into a shop and purchased a vape and had come out and was handing it over to a child, that's what we call a proxy sale. And again, that grown-up that had done that would be committing a criminal offence. And in the first instance, we would give them a warning about that. And then we have people that aren't shops that are selling to people as well. And again, they are committing a criminal offence if they're supplying people under the age of 18. So if we thought that they didn't know that what they were doing was wrong, we might give them advice, but it depends upon the scale of what they're doing.
With the child who is vaping, would you talk to them about the vaping?
So if I was their friend, I would certainly talk to them about it. I think there are better health choices that they could make for themselves. Nicotine is addictive, and coming off of nicotine products is really hard. So if you don't get started, you've saved yourself big trouble in life.
What are your top 3 opinions if younger students are being around people who are vaping?
Well, firstly, I would say avoid it. You can turn around and walk out of the toilet. Basically, what students need to remember is the habits they form now when they're teenagers can be habits for life. And so it's really important that they remember they don't want to be addicted to something like that. And although things sometimes appear harmless, usually in the long run, they're not entirely harmless. So my kind of top tips is just turn around, walk away, report it.
We wanted to know what to do in an emergency without your mobile phone. So we caught up with the school safeguarding lead, Mr. Holloway, back in the studio.
Thomas, by the way.
Hi, Ellie.
Thank you for coming in for the chat today.
Absolutely my pleasure.
We are interested in learning about what to do in an emergency if you haven't got your phone.
Okay, well, that's a scenario I can identify with. So I would think about trying to find a shop. It's a natural place if we were somewhere like Truro. Go in, ask one of the workers, explain the situation and ask if you can use their phone, and then make contact. What do you reckon the key thing would be, though, if you had to go into a shop to phone home?
To know one of your mum or dad's phone numbers.
Yeah, to know the phone numbers of somebody who's going to be someone responsible and close that you can that can be able to help you out.
Thank you. That was really great if I was in town. But what if I was at the beach?
You know, it's really good that you say that, because your question actually is very much about context and where you are when things happen. So the beach is a really, really good example. So what I would suggest is think about who trusted adults could be in a beach situation. Now, if you're at a beach like, for instance, say Perranporth or Porthtowan and it's the summer, you've got people like lifeguards. So families might be a good one. So if they got children, might be a good idea that they're an indication that they are safe. Perhaps somebody if they were in a kind of uniform.
Thank you so much for coming in today and speaking to us.
It's a pleasure.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
CCTV's everywhere, isn't it? Even in our school. In fact, you were watching me on it. We wanted to talk about Mr. Griffiths' ideas on what it's used for, whether it's safety or spying.
Is CCTV mostly used for spying or safety?
Safety. Spying.
Safety.
Spying.
Spying.
Safety.
My name is Mr. Griffiths and I'm the network manager at Richard Lander School.
What is CCTV used for?
CCTV is used primarily for safeguarding. Okay, so the primary purpose of most schools, or all schools really, is safeguarding and the well-being of our students. So we use it for that.
Approximately how many cameras are there in the school?
So we've got quite a large school building. It's about a quarter of a mile from one end to the other. So we have in the region of 75 cameras, with some being outside and some being inside.
How does the system work?
Okay, so what we have is we've got a variety of cameras, as I said. So this is an example of one of the cameras. It's called a dome camera, and it sits on the ceiling like that. And it'll give us a shot a bit like this one here. Okay, so this is one downstairs to the arc, and it's in the corner of the ceiling, and it points all the way down. And obviously you can see we're not looking in any private spaces or anything. We're just looking at the flow of the corridor and making sure if anybody does fall down the stairs that we've got eyesight of that as well.
We are here with Miss Griffiths talking about CCTV. Miss Griffiths, is CCTV used for spying?
It's not used for spying on students or staff. We only use it in the corridors and outside areas. There isn't any in classrooms. And we use it entirely for health and safety. When children come into school, they expect to be safe and their parents expect them to be safe. And we use our CCTV to help support that health and safety. The top three benefits are personal reporting is unreliable. Witnesses are quite unreliable. CCTV broadly doesn't lie. So if you have two opposing views, you can usually roughly see what's happening. So it makes it much clearer. It's actually, the second advantage is it's much quicker to investigate issues. Sometimes we don't have to take statements from lots of people because we can see what's happened on CCTV. And probably the third benefit is people know it's there, so it's a preventative. People don't necessarily maybe make some of the unwise choices that they might otherwise make because they know CCTV is there.
If there was a student who felt anxious or worried about CCTV in the corridor, what would you tell them?
I would say that it's there for their safety. I have shown some students the CCTV before in the empty corridors or whatever, and we reassure them that it isn't in classrooms, it isn't in toilets, it isn't in private spaces.
Well, that wraps it up for Cornish Youth News episode 3. We hope you enjoyed and stay ready for next time. Bye.